Jackie Blue.
Remember when this song became legendary? Or when this other one defined the 70s for you? 50 years have passed, and yet those songs still pop into your memory like no time has gone by at all. Tracks that exploded out of nowhere, played on the radio in your living room, and then vanished like a sigh. Today, we're going to rediscover them together and relive those moments when music was a surprise and every radio station felt like a different world. 12. Magic by Pilot.
Ho, 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 it's magic.
Some songs work like time machines. You hear them and you're transported back to a time when everything felt a little simpler, the world looked a little brighter, and problems seemed a little farther away. Magic by Pilot is exactly that. That chorus we all know has the power to turn any gray moment into something sparkling.
Never believe it's not so.
Pilot was a Scottish band formed by musicians who'd worked with the Bay City Rollers, but with this song, they found their own identity, at least for a moment. But a lot of people forget who was behind the mixing board. Alan Parsons. The same Alan Parsons who'd been the sound engineer on Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon and who later created his own legendary project. Parsons gave this track that special shine, that sonic clarity that makes it instantly recognizable from the first notes. Pilot had a few smaller hits afterward, but none ever matched the magic of this one. The title tells you everything. This was pure magic, and decades later, it still is. Before we move on, we'd love to get to know you a little better. What's your name, and how old are you? Drop it in the comments. Let's keep going. 11. I'm Not in Love by 10cc.
I'm not in love, so don't forget.
Technically, 10cc had other hits. But let's be honest, this song ate every other one for breakfast. It's a masterpiece that doesn't sound like anything that came before or after. When you listen to it, you feel like you're floating, like time stops, like you're suspended somewhere between dreaming and waking.
Don't get me wrong, don't think you got it made.
The production is hypnotic. Layer upon layer of human voices, creating an atmosphere that feels unreal and yet incredibly intimate. Here's a detail that'll make you think. To achieve that ethereal effect, the band recorded more than 250 vocal tracks. Every member sang the same note over and over, in different tones, until they built that bed of sound that wraps around the melody. No synthesizers, no auto-tune, just human voices, manipulated and stacked until they sounded otherworldly. Meanwhile, the lyrics are about someone denying they're in love, while obviously being completely in love. That very human contradiction, saying I'm not in love precisely because you're in it way too deep. We've all been there at some point, which is why this hit still resonates half a century later, opening hearts that seemed closed. Hit that like button if you love romantic songs like this one. 10. The Hustle by Van McCoy and the Soul City Symphony. Before the Bee Gees, before Saturday Night Fever, even before the word disco really meant anything, we had this song. Van McCoy created the anthem that defined the birth of an era, an instrumental with barely one spoken phrase, "Do the hustle." That was all you needed to know. In dance clubs around the world, the moment those opening strings hit, the floor filled instantly. Everyone knew the steps. Everyone knew what to do. In Latin America, this rhythm was danced to exhaustion at weddings, quinceañeras, New Year's parties. It was impossible to escape, and honestly, nobody wanted to. What few remember is that Van McCoy was mainly a songwriter and producer working behind the scenes. The Hustle was almost an accident, an experiment he recorded with no big expectations. And it didn't just enchant the public, it won the Grammy for Best Pop Instrumental Performance, a detail you might not recall. McCoy passed away just 4 years later at 39 from a heart attack. He never replicated the success of this track, but he left behind the anthem that ignited one of the most important musical eras in history. That's more than most people achieve in a lifetime. 9. Lovin' You by Minnie Riperton. Close your eyes and listen to that vocal line climbing and climbing to notes that seem almost humanly impossible. This is more than music. It feels like a hypnotic sound, and it was one of the biggest things playing back in that far-off year 1975. Minnie Riperton had a gift no one else possessed. Her vocal range reached the whistle register, those ultra-high notes that brush against the edge of human hearing. Some people joked that only dogs could hear the highest parts of this melody. But it wasn't just technique, it was pure emotion. Lovin' You is perhaps the sweetest, most tender, most genuinely romantic song of the entire decade. No cynicism, no irony, just love expressed in its simplest and most beautiful form. Here's a touching detail. The lyrics were written for her daughter Maya, who was only 2 years old when it was recorded. If you listen closely, you can hear birds singing at the end. Those birds were part of the natural studio ambiance, and they decided to keep them because they fit perfectly. Maya Rudolph. That little girl grew up to become a famous actress and comedian. And Minnie Riperton passed away from cancer in 1979 at just 31 years old. This track remains her eternal gift to her daughter and to the whole world. A reminder that when love is real, it can achieve the impossible. What other one-hit wonder from the 70s do you remember? Drop it in the comments. 8. Feelings by Morris Albert.
Feelings.
Some songs divide the world just like the one you're hearing. For some, it's an unbearably corny ballad, a melody that represents everything over the top about 70s romance. For others like us, it's the song you slow dance to with someone special, the one that played while the world disappeared and only 2 people were left moving slowly on the dance floor.
My life, I'm feeling.
The writer, Morris Albert, was Brazilian-born Maurício Alberto Kaiserman, but this time he chose to sing in English, never imagining he'd conquer the entire world with that decision. It reached #1 in multiple countries, was translated into dozens of languages, and became the quintessential romantic ballad of 1975. And despite the song's calm appearance, not many know it was wrapped in legal battles.
I'll never have you.
A French composer claimed the melody was too similar to one of his compositions from 1957, and the courts partially agreed. But that didn't change anything for those of us who love it, because songs that mark us don't need to be perfect. They just need to reach the heart at the exact right moment. And Feelings reached us precisely when we needed it. 7. Convoy by C.W. McCall. In 1975, the United States was obsessed with truckers. CB radios, citizens' band radios, had become the cultural phenomenon of the moment. Everyone wanted a handle. Everyone wanted to speak that secret language of codes and trucker slang. And everyone wanted to hear this hit on the radio from their own rig. C.W. McCall, who was really an advertising man named Bill Fries, created an epic story about a convoy of trucks crossing the country, defying the police, united by the brotherhood of the road. If those words instantly transport you back to another era, you're not alone. The track hit #1 and sparked a nationwide craze. 2 years later, it became a movie starring Chris Christopherson. C.W. McCall never had another hit like it. Bill Fries eventually became mayor of a small town in Iowa far from the spotlight. But for a few glorious months, truckers were the new cowboys, and this song was their anthem. For those of us who grew up dreaming of the freedom of the open road, Convoy still represents that eternal longing. 6. Before the Next Teardrop Falls by Freddie Fender.
I'll be there before the next.
Valdemar Huerta was born in Texas, the son of Mexican migrant farm workers, though the world would know him as Freddie Fender. And in 1975, he did something very few Latino artists had achieved. He reached #1 on Billboard singing in both English and Spanish. Before the Next Teardrop Falls is a country ballad about a love so deep the singer promises to be there to wipe away every tear before the next one falls.
Y te da felicidad.
What was revolutionary was that Spanish verse in the middle of the song, not only sung in the language of his parents, but deep and sweet. For the Latino community, this was enormous. One of their own was succeeding without hiding his roots, without apologizing for speaking 2 languages. Here's a detail almost no one knows. Freddie Fender had faced hard times before this hit legal trouble, addiction, a career that seemed finished before it began.
Anytime you need me.
This song was his redemption. It proved it's never too late for the world to recognize your talent. Another reminder that everyone deserves a second chance. 5. How Long by Ace. Paul Carrack has one of the most recognizable voices in British rock. Years later, he'd sing hits with Squeeze and Mike plus the Mechanics. But in 1975, he was simply the keyboardist and lead singer of a band called Ace that went from obscurity to conquering their island overnight. How Long sounds like a song about romantic infidelity. But here's the real story, and it's a lot funnier than a simple love drama. The lyrics were actually about the band's bassist who was secretly playing with another group. Carrack discovered that musical infidelity and wrote these lyrics as a disguised complaint. The disloyal bassist probably never imagined his betrayal would inspire a worldwide hit. Ironically, the bass line is perfect. Catchy, irresistible, impossible to get out of your head once you hear it. Ace broke up shortly afterward, but Paul Carrack built an extraordinary career as a session musician and guest vocalist. His voice appears on more hits than you probably realize, yet it all started here, with a song about a disloyal bassist. 4. Chevy Van by Sammy Johns.
Just like a picture, she was laying there, moonlight.
The 70s had a special relationship with freedom. Everyone wanted to sing about it. And few things represented that freedom better than a van, an open road, and no questions about tomorrow. Sammy Johns captured that spirit in a song that probably wouldn't pass radio filters today. The story is simple. A man picks up a hitchhiking woman. And what happens next in the van is implied, but absolutely clear.
We're standing round, get a key.
It was 70s freedom condensed into 3 minutes. No guilt, no commitments, just 2 strangers sharing a moment before going their separate ways. And the truth is, Sammy Johns wrote the lyrics without actually owning a Chevrolet van. He just liked how the name sounded.
Rock from end to end.
The track was hugely successful, but also controversial. Some stations refused to play it because of its suggestive content. That, of course, only made it more popular, because forbidden fruit always tastes special. For those of us who lived that era, Chevy Van represents something we may have lost: the possibility of encounters without consequences, adventures without explanations. A simpler time, or at least, that's how we remember it. Subscribe to the channel if you want us to explore the one-hit wonders from your favorite year. 3. At 17 by Janice Ian.
Desperately remained at home, inventing lovers.
This song hurts not because it's melodramatic, but because it feels so real. Janice Ian wrote about the experience of being a teenager who doesn't fit in, the one who isn't invited to parties, who watches from the outside while the pretty girls get flowers and attention, the one who learns too early that life isn't fair. Those words struck the hearts of millions who felt invisible during their youth.
It isn't all it seems, it's 17.
The melody has a gentle bossa nova rhythm that painfully contrasts with the sadness of the lyrics. It's like an open wound presented with elegance. That message was so powerful, it won the Grammy for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. Here's something moving. When People magazine published an article about this song, they received more than 10,000 letters from readers sharing their own stories of teenage rejection. Janice Ian had touched something universal, that feeling of not being enough, of not being chosen, of watching life from the sidelines. If you never felt that way, you're lucky. For the rest of us, this song was an embrace of understanding, a reminder we weren't alone. 2. Jackie Blue by Ozark Mountain Daredevils. There's something strange about this song, something you can't quite identify, but it keeps you listening. When it first plays, a lot of people swear a woman is singing. The voice is high, soft, almost ethereal. But no, it's Larry Lee, the band's drummer, who had that unusually high register. Ozark Mountain Daredevils were a southern rock band from Missouri that never quite fit into any category. They weren't as hard as Lynyrd Skynyrd or as soft as the Eagles. They were something different, and Jackie Blue was the best example. The lyrics tell us about a mysterious woman hard to understand, living in her own world. Everything is narrated deliberately, ambiguously, open to interpretation. The curious part is that the original version was called Jackie Blues and was about a man. They changed the character's gender almost by accident, and it worked perfectly. That ambiguity gives the song a mysterious aura that makes it irresistible. Who is Jackie Blue? Is she free or trapped? We'll never know for sure. Everyone has their own theory. And maybe that's exactly what makes it unforgettable. 1. Fly, Robin. Fly by Silver Convention. Only 3 words make up the entire lyric of this song, but they were more than enough to go down in music history. The geniuses behind it called themselves Silver Convention, a German studio project that was part of that wave of European disco, redefining the sound of dance floors. This track won the Grammy for Best R&B Recording, which caused controversy because the singers were essentially hired voices for a studio product. But none of that mattered on the dance floor. When those strings started, when that relentless bass line kicked in, everyone got up. You didn't need to understand the lyrics. There was nothing to understand. You just needed to feel. Disco music was officially born. What came after Saturday Night Fever and Studio 54 has its roots here, with those 3 magical words and that irresistible sound. The song told us to fly, and a lot of us did exactly that. And even though years have passed, the freedom this melody gives us is unmatched in the world. And that's the end of this journey. I'll leave you here with a video of another oldies playlist if you want to keep the nostalgia going. See you next time.